I know that this is the third retro rant in a row, but I am working on a new review that I hope will be done next week. The game that I'll be reviewing is Omen Sight. Also, I'm using a different microphone for this one because of its noise canceling. I might use it some more. Let me know if it sounds better than the previous one. So leave a comment below if you like this microphone or the one before it. And with Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out, hopefully before the turn of the next century, it got me thinking about the story, which is a good one, but I think it's been pretty badly handled. Kingdom Hearts is probably a really good example of how not to tell an overarching story across several games. In the story of the series timeline, its two games take place before Kingdom Hearts, two games between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and two games between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. But the thing is, a majority of the games were made between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, and because they took so long to even develop Kingdom Hearts 3, they just kept adding more and more to the entire universe of the series, expanding upon it. And there's nothing wrong with expanding upon a game's universe, but Kingdom Hearts suffers from too much expansion to the point of exhaustion. There's an episode of Family Guy, Pilling Them Softly, where Brian takes a bunch of Stewie's ADHD medication, and then he starts writing a story, and when he pitches that story, he's told that the medication does not make you write well, but just a lot. And that seems to be the perfect description for Kingdom Hearts. Just look at how the timeline goes. First, you have Kingdom Hearts Chi back cover, which is a movie that is supposed to explain the unseen events in the browser game Kingdom Hearts Chi, which was released as Kingdom Hearts Unchained Chi, later rebranded as Union, which is now an Android and iOS port, but it has an added part where it diverges halfway through the game. The Chi games take place before the Keyblade War. Then there's Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep for the PSP, and Kingdom Hearts Fragmented Passage, which is another movie focusing on Aqua. Then we move on to the first numbered game and first release game, Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation 2. Then it's Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance, which was remade on the PS2 as Chain of Memories. Then there's Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days on the DS, which details Sora's nobody Roxas, who technically shouldn't exist by the rules of the series, which I'll get into in a bit. Then there's Kingdom Hearts 2, the third release game in the series, and the second numbered game, followed by Kingdom Hearts Coded, which was for cell phones in Japan, and then remade as Recoded on the DS everywhere else. And then there's Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance for the 3DS, which has to deal with Sora and Riku becoming Keyblade Masters, of which Sora, the main character, fails. Which brings us to Kingdom Hearts 3 on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And I'm going to go back to this. Sora fails the Keyblade Master test. How? Why even? Hasn't his entire journey been well enough to say, you know what? You're a Keyblade Master. But no. Riku, a side character, he passes. Not Sora. I'm sorry, but isn't that kind of stupid? Like, Sora has done way more than Riku. And with the way the story is written, you know for a fact that they had no idea where they were taking it. And granted, they had no idea it was going to succeed like it did. While the first game was a pretty well written good versus evil story, after that you can tell they started making up stuff as they went along. It's like someone wrote a really good fan fiction, and it got such good reception so they tried topping it, adding to it each time. Which brings me back to Roxas. Roxas should not exist at all. It's explained that when someone loses their heart, the heart becomes a heartless, while the body and soul become a nobody. Yes, Sora was a heartless for all of 3 minutes, but he's restored, and such restoration kills off the nobody, according to the Kingdom Hearts wiki. But Roxas, for some reason, continued on. It's like the people writing the story made a character they liked too much, and therefore ignored the rules of their universe they wrote just for that one character. Then there's the reason why Ventus and Roxas look alike and why Vanitas and Sora look alike, which is, in all out honesty, kinda stupid because it's overdone. It reeks of desperation in an attempt to link the characters together in a method that's trying way too hard. Ventus's heart gets fractured. Vanitas is born from the darkness of Ventus's heart. Sora gives up part of his heart to Ventus, which is why Vanitas looks like Sora. Maybe they were stoned when they wrote that, and since I don't do drugs, I don't get the reasoning for it. It probably looked good for the reveal when Vanitas gets unmasked later in the game, but when you actually say the reasons out loud like I just did, it seems kinda dumb. But each game does have a good story. But when you step back and look at the big picture when it comes to how everything looks and is supposed to fit together, it doesn't make sense. It's like when Ansem, who actually isn't Ansem, says at the end of the first game, "You've come all this way and still you understand nothing." And no, I don't understand it. For an example on how to do an expanded universe better, maybe not correct, but better, take a look at the Star Wars expanded universe pre-Disney bio. Everything was considered canon to the Star Wars universe, but it didn't interfere with the canon that the movies set forth, either taking place after The Last Jedi or between the movies. The books, comics, and games reference the movies, but the movies would not reference them. You may have seen a small Easter egg, but that would be it. You did not need to read everything from the expanded universe to understand the plot of the movies. Even after Disney bought Star Wars and declared the expanded universe as non-canon, so that way they could expand their own ideas for Star Wars, and while fans were not happy, it still works due to the fact that the movies ignore the expanded universe. Even the movies weren't told in the right order, as there's the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, then there's Rogue One, and now Solo, and I'm not going to even get into the two made-for-TV movies about the Ewoks that take place after Return of the Jedi. But now let's look at Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, specifically the originals on PlayStation 2. You could play them without needing to play Chain of Memories. They do an okay job at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2 at explaining what's going on to catch you up in case you didn't play Chain of Memories. But then there's the final mixes, which add cutscenes that reference the other games in the series, like in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. There's a scene that I swear was not in the original PlayStation 2 version, and that's where some of the Organization 13 people go to the basement in their base and there's Aqua's armor laying on the floor. If you didn't play Birth by Sleep, you wouldn't know what they were talking about. I feel bad for the people in Japan, as Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix was released in Japan before Birth by Sleep, so all that added storyline stuff must have just been confusing. But luckily for the rest of the world, we got the final mixes after all the portable games were released. Granted, Kingdom Hearts 3 is not out yet, but some of the trailers are confusing, like the two guys playing chess. Who are these two? What significance do they have to the story? How do they know about the Keyblade War? And more importantly, are they important to the story? Or are they going to be played up as super important, only to be nothing to it? If I were to explain Kingdom Hearts to someone who hasn't played it, I would pretty much say that it's Final Fantasy VI with Disney characters. The main bad guy is Xehanort, which is pretty much Kefka, just not the insane nihilist, but wanting to remake the universe in his own image so that way he could bring balance to the universe, so he has some kind of a Thanos thing sprinkled in as he sees what he's doing as a noble thing. Now, some of you Kingdom Hearts purists may think that I'm wrong, and you know, I probably am. But what if I'm not? Who's to say that there won't be a final mix of Kingdom Hearts 3 that adds on to the story with new cutscenes that reference an upcoming portable game which will expand upon the story even more? It honestly feels like the story that spans across all the games is just nonsense at this point because they're trying to connect everything. Why do that? Why not do what Star Wars did? Make the side games as part of an expanded universe that doesn't interfere with the main numbered series. To wrap this up, it's clear that they didn't know what they had in their hands when they first created Kingdom Hearts. They even admitted that because they didn't think it'd be successful, but it was just that they tried to build upon it, and because they waited so long to make a third main game and kept doing side games, it was just a ridiculous overexpansion. I just hope that when this Dark Seeker saga is concluded, and when or if they decide to start another saga, they don't do what they did with this, as the game series should grow up like a tree, not outward like a bush.